Happy birthday, President William Henry Harrison. Welcome, one and all, as we have yet another presidential birthday toast. Today, we raise our glass to one President William Henry Harrison, the ninth president of these United States. So, William Henry Harrison was an occasional imbiber. He did not drink very often, and strangely enough, he was actually much more known to have a decanter of whiskey by his bedside in Ohio. But you really can't give a proper toast to President William Henry Harrison unless it's with hard cider. He was a brilliant political tactician with the hard cider, or log cabin and hard cider. There we go. The log cabin and hard cider campaigns. So probably need to toast the man with a bit of hard cider. The ninth president of these United States. He's also the progenitor of the only grandson, grandfather presidential line. He's the grandson of President Benjamin Harrison. Get to him later, folks. I'll leave that there. Why not? He was the shortest serving president of these United States at only 31 days. A lot of people think that that has to do with the fact that he also had the longest inauguration speech at over 2 hours. There's actually, the general story is that he died of pneumonia. A lot of doctors have actually looked into that, and it really looks like it might have been typhoid fever. But regardless, that is history, folks. He served for 31 days, but before he was president, he actually served on the battlefield several times with some distinction. And one thing I did want to talk about is he was a contemporary, if you will, to the Shawnee leader Tecumseh, one of the great figures of American history. And there was a point where Harrison told Tecumseh that President Madison was highly unlikely to withdraw the Treaty of Fort Wayne. The chief replied with something. There's a lot of different accounts, but this is probably the closest account, and it does mention alcohol. As the great chief is to determine the matter, I hope the Great Spirit will put sense enough into his head to order you to give up those lands. It is true, he is so far off, he may sit in his town and drink his wine, while you and I will have to fight it out. And the Battle of Tippecanoe was where they did battle it out. And that was where the great Tecumseh fell. But that was one of the things that helped propel President William Henry Harrison to the White House was Tippecanoe and Tyler too. And we'll get to Tyler later. That's another video. While he rarely imbibed, there was interesting, this was an actual order he made in 1813. Philadelphia merchants were requested that they would, quote, be so obliged to send to Pittsburgh as soon as possible a quarter cask of best Madeira wine, 1 ditto of sherry, and 10 gallons of best French brandy. Wow, that's that must have been quite the time for his guests. Now, the log cabin and hard cider campaign. This is also, I'm just reading this straight from Mark Will Weber's Mint Juleps of Teddy Roosevelt, The Complete History of Presidential Drinking. Cannot recommend this book enough. It's just a fun read. In one of political history's most clever counter moves, the Whigs latched onto a Baltimore paper's snide remarks and eventually rode them all the way to the executive mansion. And what the anti-Harrison editorial stated was this: give him a barrel of hard cider and a pension of $2,000 a year, and our word for it, he will sit the remainder of his days in a log cabin by a sea coal fire and sturdy moral philosophy. So the Whigs redrew those images and managed to portray Harrison, despite his wealthy Virginia roots and his stately home in North Bend, Ohio, As the friend of the common man, Harrison supporters soon stumped the country, building makeshift cabins, hoisting jugs of hard cider and whiskey as well, and brushing forth with boisterous songs. There were dozens and dozens of songs of the log cabin and hard cider campaign, with a fairly typical stanza. One was let Van from his coolers of silver drink wine and lounge on the cushioned settee. Our man on a Buckeye bench can recline content with hard cider is he. So yeah, they were very, very catchy, good campaign slogans. And also, one last thing before I close the book here. There was some evidence that Harrison had investment in a whiskey distillery, which puts him in company with Andrew Jackson and George Washington. So fascinating there. But really, folks, if you have a hard cider, it is the most appropriate toast to President William Henry Harrison, the 9th president of these United States. So today, whatever you have, whatever libation you have, raise it to the 9th president of these United States, William Henry Harrison. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So, folks, there's a lot more to come. Be sure to check out the toast of one Abraham Lincoln is coming up very soon. But this is President William Henry Harrison's day. The shortest serving president because of an illness that cut him down not really early in that era. He was 69 when he did ultimately die. So you, especially for that era where the average life expectancy was about half that, it was not all that uncommon. But strangely enough, they even used brandy and different alcohols along with mercury and all kinds of other, who knows, as a medicinal aid. They at least tried, which, as we can see, that's how it ended. So he was a man who, through brilliant political maneuvering, was able to rise to the presidency of this United States. He did not live to do very much. They say it could have been because of his very long speech. Others say it could have been because of the water supply was infected with things like typhoid fever. Either one could be the case. Regardless, the outcome was still the same. But regardless of his short reign as president, we raise our glass one more time to President William Henry Harrison. Happy birthday, Mr. President. So, folks, be sure to stick around because there's plenty more presidential birthday toasts to come. But this is the birthday of President William Henry Harrison. Thank you for joining me, and I will catch you around, folks.